Hey everyone, and welcome to the Balanced Bodies Blueprint. I am your host, Vinny Russo, along here with my co-host, Dr. Eryn Stansfield.
Hello.
You sound so enthused. This is not your typical fitness podcast, as our focus is primarily going to consist of preventative care, offer a holistic style approach to your nutrition, and give you a flip perspective with a multitude of fitness topics. The main goal of this podcast is really just to give you that guiding light, one, to just illuminate the path that you're traveling down towards your optimal health. In today's podcast, since this is our first podcast that we are trying to do, we are just going to briefly introduce who we are because we don't want to bore you guys. Then we want to explain what we're going to do, what we do as a company in terms of Balanced Bodies, and which is how it's so different from any other fitness and coaching company out there today. And then at the end, we're going to do a little bit of a rapid fire Q&A. How's that sound?
Sounds good to me.
All right. So why don't we do this? Why don't we just, flip roles here a little bit? Why don't you introduce me, and then I'm going to introduce you.
All right.
How's that?
Good. Sounds really good. All right. So, Vinny. Vinny has been a nutrition coach for over 12 years, and he used to have a different company called Team VR. We transitioned that to Balanced Bodies earlier this year. It's almost been a year that Balanced Bodies been running. Vinny is also a WBFF pro physique athlete and as a male fitness model, and he has an MS in applied clinical nutrition. He has various certifications with Precision Nutrition, NFPT, Nutrition Dynamic, and Dominate. And as I've had the pleasure to work with Vinny for the past almost year and a half, I've had interfaced with most of his clients that were initially Team VR, and I have not heard one person not say that they love him as a coach. He literally changes lives. He's one of the best nutrition coaches I've seen, and I've worked with a few myself as a competitor. And he just really, truly cares about his clients, and he's very knowledgeable on top of it. So he has my full endorsement, which is why I agreed to be his team physician when he was still doing Team VR, and now we are very happy to collaborate as Balanced Bodies.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for those kind words. As for the certifications, NCI is also thrown in there now. So just going to give a big shout out to Jason Phillips with that one. But yeah, no, thank you so much for those kind words. I appreciate that. You didn't have to go into that much detail. But now I got to live up to that. So I got to introduce you now. So let's talk a little bit about Dr. Eryn. So first off, she is a real life Doogie Howser. For those of you 80s and 90s babies, you guys should know this. She started college at the age of 14. So that is real life Doogie Howser. She has her bachelor's in biology. She went to medical school at the University of Utah and did 1 year of general surgery and 2 years of cancer research and nuclear medicine. She wound up completing her residency in nuclear medicine at Harvard. She completed another residency because she loves school apparently in preventative and occupational medicine at the University of Utah with her master's in occupational health, which is really going to play a role in what she does with Balanced Bodies. Currently, she has been a practicing physician for over or nearly 20 years. Is it over or is it nearly?
I think we're approaching 20 years. Yep.
All right, nice. She has also been the chief of preventative medicine for the Air Force for the past 13 years. Just a little side note with her going through college, she did deal with a devastating disease. She developed cancer at the age of 16 and had to work through that, and then also go into med school after that. So a lot of stuff on her plate, and thankful that she is around and that she beat that. She's also an author of her own book, which is more like a personal memoir, which reflects on the stuff that she went through. So when I say that she is the most intelligent person I've ever had the pleasure of speaking with, I am not lying. I've talked to many intelligent people. I've been on a bunch of podcasts with a lot of intelligent people, and I don't think anyone can really compare. I thought I was intelligent until having conversations with her. And it's not just her knowledge in her field of expertise, but it's in all other areas. It's almost like she's fucking GTP, like in the living. But one of the main reasons why I wanted to do this podcast is not just to obviously positively impact people, but it's to show people what is inside that fucking head of hers. Let her get that out and kind of bless us all with her knowledge that she has up there. So I'm excited to be able to show you guys not only what we do as a company, but to illuminate some of what Dr. Eryn can offer to the entire world. I know she doesn't have that great of a social media following right now that we just started this podcast. That will definitely grow after you guys hear the amount of information she could relay to you guys. So I'm excited. I'm excited for this.
Thank you, Vinny. I don't think you've met enough people if you think I'm that intelligent. Just kidding.
Well, I'll tell you what though. I will go out on a limb and I'll say, like, if there was like a battles of physicians, I would put my bank account on you.
Oh,
I would.
I
I would say you're. Yeah, I'm not just sucking up, but I would say that top 3 physicians in the United States. Not that I know many, but I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna call you top 3 definitely, if not number 1. So.
Thank you. I appreciate the kind words.
Of course. So now that we, are done boring people with, our little brief history, let's talk about what we do as a company, all right? Because this is really important. We want to get this out because we do something that's so different from any other fitness and nutrition and wellness company that I don't know who does this. If there is something out there, I'm sorry, but I'm going to just say I think we are the only ones who do what we do. So do you want to touch a little bit on what we do?
Yeah. So basically when Vinny and I came together, I was really more into treating mind, body, and spirit. So we wanted to make sure that we were targeting everybody, not only with their physical well-being, but also just a way of lifestyle. So we are a holistic wellness company that basically transforms physiques while optimizing your health. And we do that through very individualized care. We like to look at every client with precision, basically, to analyze them, to really listen to them, to look at their health markers. And basically, we want to leave a positive, everlasting impact on each and every person that we help.
That is very well said. Very well said. I will say this too, though. So when looking at what we offer to individual clients, she has an expertise in the medical field, right? So looking at internal health, reading labs, that is what she does. She's extremely good at it. But being in the medical field as a physician, you lack a little bit in the nutrition area.
Absolutely.
Me, as being the nutrition guy, I come in with a wealth of knowledge in that nutrition area, but not nearly an extensive knowledge of what you have with lab work or anything like that. So you're filling my void and I'm filling your void. And together we just complete the puzzle here. And we really, really focus now because of what we can do. It's really like, yeah, we could transform your physique. Anybody can do that. You could just put you in a calorie deficit and we could transform your physique. But it's not about that anymore. That's not fulfilling. It's about optimizing the health, right? How are you feeling on a day-to-day basis? And with her knowledge and my knowledge, we're able to really do that for every single client that comes our way. So what makes us really different from other fitness and wellness companies is not the fact, look, there's nutrition coaches out there, and I'm pretty sure there's better nutrition coaches than me out there. Like, I could definitely say that. I worked with one, I'll say his name, AJ Sims, where I think he is some type of savant. I don't even know if he did macros or calories. He just made little adjustments and they fucking worked always. And I never understood how he did it. With me, you could kind of understand what I do. And I try to explain that to every single client of mine. But what makes us so different is the fact that we actually have a board certified physician on board with us, right? She's here to take care of you. You have monthly medical consults with her, but you have her in your back pocket. You have text message access to her on a daily basis whenever you need it. If you wake up and you're not feeling good, shoot her a text. You sprain your back. What do I do? Do I rest it? Do I ice it? Do I heat it? You shoot her the Voxer text. And it's voice messages. And I don't think I'm not sure, Eryn, you could touch on this a little bit more, but I don't think you could really get that easy access to just, a doctor, can you?
No, usually, my experience with, my own medical care is that you wait in a waiting room for a very long time, and then you go see a primary care physician who kind of shuffles you off, and it's very difficult to get communication, follow up on labs sometimes, or even some questions. A lot of patients don't process information when they're in their visit just because there's so much information to digest, and a lot of times they're left with lots of questions afterwards. And I'm speaking as a patient myself, being in that position myself, and leaving the doctor's office confused oftentimes, and sometimes it takes a long time for a good physician to get back to you, and sometimes they don't get back to you, or if they do get back to you, it might be a mid-level that's getting back to you. So one of the reasons that our vision came together with this company was I went to medical school to help people. And I don't think there's enough emphasis in medicine on changing people's lifestyle. And that starts with nutrition. Unfortunately, doctors aren't very versed in nutrition. We get very minimal lecture time on any kind of nutrition. And so I'm one of the first docs to say, hey, I'm not going to hand you nutrition advice. I'm going to refer you off to somebody who knows nutrition. But also I want to spend time with my patients, and I think we do a good job of that. I'm able to spend the time needed to answer questions, to really care about my patients, and to find out root causes for their issues, their chronic diseases if they have them, or even some diagnoses that maybe they had little explanation when they went to their primary care. And then Vinny handles the nutrition side of things.
Yeah, and it's pretty crazy because even with our clients and what they say, so I'll ask about how their experiences with you. Even in the testimonials, you could all hear it, but they always say how much time you give to them. I remember a couple clients in particular that would have you over an hour every medical consult. You'd be on the phone with them for over an hour every single month with them, and it was multiple clients that were like that. But what they said is that they actually felt heard, and they never felt heard by a physician or a doctor before. So the amount of care that we actually give to our clients, I think it's second to none. And I will say this too, excuse me, but on I believe it was last Labor Day, it was Labor Day weekend, and you got on a call with one of our clients at noon on a Saturday during Labor Day weekend. What doctor do you know will do that for a patient? And if you do know one that would do that, please send him our way, because we'll get him on this podcast, or him or her on this podcast. So, so that's a little bit about our company. Obviously, we're going to talk more about it as the podcast goes on with more episodes. But we don't want to take too much time with this first episode because we really want to start educating. But let's have a little fun here. Do you want to jump into a random rapid fire Q&A, or do you want to touch a little bit more on our backgrounds?
Well, I want to know how you got into fitness initially, because obviously most of your background is fitness oriented.
Yeah. So I played sports at a very young age, and I just happened to be pretty damn good at the sports that I focused on. And that sort of set the tone with me with prioritizing athletic training, things like speed, agility, resistance training at a very young age. But I also grew up with an insecurity. And this is what really got me into the weight training, because I was under the belief that if I built enough muscle, it could mask this insecurity that I was dealing with. But to make a very long story short, me naturally, I'm just a very competitive person. And after college football, I wasn't going pro. 5'10" on a good day. I needed an outlet to still compete. And to be honest, I didn't want to play fucking men's softball. I liked playing it, but I didn't like sitting around drinking afterwards. So that wasn't for me. So I started competing as a physique athlete. And that's what really got me into nutrition, because it was seeing how the nutrition aspect transformed my body. And it was just me altering the nutrition. It wasn't the training, it wasn't the cardio. It was just shifting a little bit with my nutrition. And that's what got me obsessed. And then ever since then, it's been all about nutrition. Besides the fact that I deal with a little sense of body dysmorphia and have a hard time being satisfied, I have clients who actually look up to me. And that helps me maintain this drive to stay in this fitness realm too, right? Like, yeah, I want to look good because I'm vain. I got vanity going on, right? It's still a priority of mine. I don't want a dad bod. But the clients that look up to me, if I don't look the part and if I don't practice what I preach, then I'm just manipulating them, and that's just not why I'm in here. I'm in here to change lives and to help people and to set a good example and be a leader. So yeah, that's really what got me into fitness. What about you? How'd you get into the fitness realm? Because I know you were a bookworm. So how did bookworm become fitness?
That's a good question. I was very, very nerdy. Didn't really work out at all. Was never a priority. In fact, I'm not very coordinated at all. In PE class, in grade school, I was always the last one picked. I would always run the slowest mile. I probably still run.
I was the first one picked, and I was the first one in the mile. So we even each other out here.
I'm still uncoordinated, still slow runner. I kind of fell on it. It was kind of it was a process, and I think that's very relatable to most people that sign up for our program. Even a lot of our clients I can relate to, because it was a big process for me. I never realized the role of nutrition until probably towards the end of medical school, and it was just because I noticed that my own metabolism started to slow down, and all the physicians that I worked with were very active and I wasn't. And so I kind of inadvertently got into running, and then thought maybe I can do the next level thing. And I signed up with a trainer, and I kind of looked up to her. She was an older woman, and she did bodybuilding competitions. And I thought, well, maybe that's something I could try one day. But it was kind of in the far distance. And a few years passed, and I got into a more regular gym routine. And eventually I thought, maybe I'll try this bikini competition thing out. And had a couple other trainers, and these were trainers that didn't know much about nutrition, but they would give me plans, and thank goodness my body responded, and I was able to compete. I did the NPC for a few years and then transitioned to the WBFF as a bikini competitor. But that's kind of how it was slow and steady. I like the sport because you don't have to be too terribly coordinated, although I struggle with stage presence still. But it's not as bad as like dancing for me.
I'm not, no comment. I plead the fifth with that last statement. But I will say, good thing you did that, because that's how we cross paths. We cross paths at Worlds in Vegas. And if you didn't get into it, this balanced bodies might not exist.
That's true.
It's crazy. It's crazy to think like that.
Very true.
I wanted to ask you a quick question, though. You said that you got into running inadvertently. I find that a lot of med students and physicians, like while they're going through school, do a lot of running. Is that mainly like to clear their head? Like, what is it? Is that their only form that like they could get in and just, I don't know, not be too stressed out? What's the deal with it, just running?
I think it is. For me, it was a little bit different. Mine came from being a bit competitive in that I was, kind of challenged to run. And I was a terrible, terrible runner. And I did realize that as I started to do it, even though I hated it at first, it was a stress reliever. So in my first year of residency, when I did general surgery, it was one of the only things that I could do that really relieved the stress during that year. I was away from my family. I was working 100+ hours a week, and it was the only thing that I could do post-call that was really relaxing, actually, which sounds, counterintuitive, but I feel like it is a stress reliever for people in medicine. But I don't know. I feel like they may have gotten to it differently than I did.
Yeah, so you used it for stress. They were probably just like, I need to work out, and this is all I got time to do. So, all right, well, that makes sense. So let's do this now. You want to just jump into the rapid fire?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's get after. All right, cool. So the way this will work is like I'll ask one, you answer it, obviously rapid fire, and then like I could give you my answer, and then you'll ask me a question rapid fire, and we'll just go back and forth for a few questions.
Okay. Do you want me to start?
Yeah, if you want. I don't care.
Okay. What would you say is your superpower?
My superpower. Okay, so you've been firsthand experienced with this. So I'm able to read vibes from people in a room. And like I said, you witnessed this personally. It's something I found out I was able to do, and it's weird. Like talking about it now, especially with like a lot of people, I could hear it because it's something I keep to myself. But once I found out I was able to kind of do that, I practiced it, and it's just now that I'm really, really able to trust what I feel when I feel something coming off of someone. I kind of could know like who's like more genuine, who's a little bit dark, who's a little bit lighter. It kind of comes to me like that, and then like it goes hand in hand with like an intuition. So. Like an instance happened with us, recently, where you're going to say something and I'll finish it, and you're like, well, how the hell did you know that? It's just like something intuitively just kind of came out because it was so quick. It wasn't even like I thought about it. When you said stuff about like this Saturday on the 30th, like, hey, I got a surprise, and I'm like, yeah, I know what it is, and I said it, and you're like, well, yeah, what if we didn't even fucking talk about that, right? It's just like there's this intuition stuff with me that I feel I have that I need to practice a little bit more with, but definitely feeling the vibes of people is something that I could do pretty well, and I know that you saw that firsthand. So
yes, agree that this is a talent for you that I don't understand. I think it's amazing.
What about you? What would your superpower be?
Well, I don't know if it's a superpower, but I tend to be very skeptical about everything. I like data. I like numbers. I think if you were to say it's a superpower in that I like to look things up. I like to make sure that people aren't giving me BS. So I'm the opposite. I don't usually go by intuition because I feel like my EQ is probably not as high as your EQ, for example. I like data. I like numbers. I like to see evidence. And so, that's a big thing for me. And because I like that, and a lot of my training has been in looking at data and numbers and analyzing studies, which sounds really boring, but it actually has helped me quite a bit to decipher what are good things and bad things, or bad ways to go or good ways to go in making a decision, especially clinical decision. That, and I feel like I have a good memory for the things that I'm interested in. Things that I'm not interested in, I will forget immediately, like people's names. Don't remember anyone's name. But if it's something very interesting, I will definitely remember it, and probably forever.
Yeah, I would have went there with your superpower. It said it definitely had something to do with your intelligence and memory, definitely. Not so much your search for answers, because I deal with that when I talk to you about certain things, and you're just like, yeah, there's no data behind it, no. And I'm just like, well, like maybe it could precede it. And you're like, yeah, no, I need to see data. And I'm just like, all right, conversation is over.
Agree.
All right, let's go into the next one. So my turn. So I'm going to ask you,
all right.
What's your biggest regret in regards to fitness?
That one's tough for me. I think if you looked at my dietary habits, like throughout my life, I had the worst diet. As a kid, I ate a lot of sugary cereals. everything that is probably taboo, if you will. But I can't say it's a regret, really. It's probably a faux pas given that I am a healthcare provider. But I really enjoyed the hell out of my childhood and had a lot of treats. And thank goodness I had a great metabolism. But later on, as I got older, it did catch up. But I'm really glad I enjoyed that time. I didn't work out. I did what I enjoyed, which was really studying a lot and, eating burgers and, Fruit Loops. But it's not really a regret, I guess.
I was going to say, is this more of a regret or a justification?
It's a justification a little bit.
Okay.
That probably should be a regret.
Okay. All right.
What about you?
I mean, I'm going to lean a little bit towards you with like not having any regrets because it's like sort of like what made me what I am. Yeah. But I will say this, getting stage lean is sort of a regret for me. It's like a double-edged sword because when you get to that 5% body fat, right, you create a beast. And getting there throughout that journey, it's what I really love. Getting there and looking like that, I do like it. I just don't like the way I feel. I like the way it looks. I don't like the way it feels. But what it does is it builds an insecurity because when you're not, like once you see yourself at your leanest that you can be, you always want to be there. You know it's not healthy for you. You know it's unsustainable, but you feel uncomfortable taking off your shirt if you're not stage lean. Even though you look better than 90% of the people out there, if you're not at that 5%, you're just like, I don't know, because I'm not at my best. So I'm going to say that might be a regret, getting stage lean, because it added to body dysmorphia. And I'm okay saying that I deal with that. But you know what? I'm going to say it helps with my structure, my organization. I do like I have a little bit of OCD, so it kind of feeds into that. So it makes it feel a little bit natural. But yeah, that would probably be my regret. I would say getting to that point, because once I got there, there's no turn back. There's no changing me now. Like that's it. So yeah, that's that.
I get that. I also understand that regret.
Yeah.
All right. So I think I'm up next.
Yeah, let's do two more. You do one and then I'll do one.
All right, sounds good. What is the strangest food combination you came up with to deter craving?
Oh, wow. All right, so here's a weird one. You tried it and you liked it, so it sounds weird, but trust me, people, it's good. You take jasmine rice, you throw some cinnamon on it, you throw some salt on it, you take a little tiny bit of protein powder. I like to use vanilla. You cut up chicken, you throw it in there with it. You take sugar-free pancake syrup and maybe a little bit of powdered peanut butter, and you just fucking mix it all together. And it is really, really, really good. If you want to just like try it out, go with the jasmine rice, cinnamon, and salt first, and then maybe you add the chicken into that. And then maybe you could add a little bit of the protein powder, see how it is. If you add too much protein powder, it gets kind of chalky and kind of like, it's just a weird texture. So don't go overboard with that. It's just for a little bit more flavor, but it's almost like a dessert when it's not really a dessert. But yeah, that would be one. What about you?
Well, I would say a jar of peanut butter, but that's not really a hack. When I was competing, because I couldn't have too much peanut butter, I would do powdered peanut butter, but I really like the saltiness of peanut butter. So I would add salt to the powdered peanut butter and then mix it with just a little bit of water so it was a little thicker, so it gave more of the consistency of peanut butter. I felt like that was a pretty good substitute when you're pretty hungry.
It's not that strange, though.
It's not that strange. But
it's creative. It's creative. You're like, you know what? This isn't as salty. Let me just throw a bunch of salt in here, a little bit of water. Yeah.
Oh, the other one I found is if you take riced cauliflower and you add a bunch of salt and pepper to it, but mix it with those Laughing Cow wedges, it's kind of like a creamy rice, and you put it in the microwave. That one's kind of good. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Well, we're giving out recipes to people on our first podcast. Look at that. All right, last one, and then we'll wrap this up. If there's one thing that you could, it kind of stems off the other question, but if there's one thing you could tell your younger self about fitness, what would it be?
I would say for me, what you said about being stage lean resonated with me about a bit. So I think, I often went to extremes, and when you go to extremes with dieting or working out, I didn't really appreciate the process and how much my body could actually do. And I think that I would appreciate that journey instead of being so hard on myself with the end result. Like really kind of appreciate and be grateful for the health I had as, while competing, and being able to even achieve such a feat instead of just looking at the end product and being like, damn, I wish I was leaner. So I think just appreciating that whole process. I think that's what I would tell myself during competition, especially. What about you?
Okay. I would tell my younger self that more is not better. From training to cardio to restriction, that stuff, just doing more and more of it and just going, no days off, bro. Like, it doesn't make you more disciplined. It makes you more inefficient, right? The minimal effective dose is what you should be striving for with everything. Unless your career actually asks you to do otherwise, then it's a little different. But the minimal effective dose, how little training can you do and grow the most? How little cardio can you do and get the most effect from it? How many calories can you diet down on, right? So I think the whole more is not better. I wish I could have told myself that, because I went crazy like when I first started. Like, it took a while to learn, but that was part of my nature and just trying to always be perfect and be competitive and that type of stuff. So that's what I would say.
I think that's why we're here, right? To find balance.
Exactly. Oh, I like that. You swung that in there with the whole balance bodies. Look at you.
Yep.
That's awesome. All right, everybody. So listen, thank you for listening to our first podcast. We have a bunch lined up that we're going to be doing. And once again, our goal is to make sure that we shed some light on that path that you're walking down to give you an easier way, more efficient way to get to your goals. And what I would like you guys to do, and I just hear a lot of other podcasts say it, so I'm going to say it, leave a 5-star review, right? It's going to help us out. It's going to help us get known. Share it on social media. If you do, we will shout you out on our social media pages, as well as on the podcast when you give us a share. So we'll start doing that just to get some traction. And then we'll go into our next episode, which is actually going to be mainly Dr. Eryn talking and me just asking questions, because she's going to dive deep into the bad, the ugly, and the worst with TRT clinics and why these TRT clinics are for the birds. Thank you all for listening. Have a wonderful day, and we will catch you all later for our next episode.
See you later.
The podcast content may include discussions of medical topics and health-related information. However, the information provided should not be considered exhaustive or complete, and it should not be relied upon as a substitute for professional medical advice or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare providers with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment.